Hi everyone, it's Josh. I wanted to talk today about something that's going to come up in the next music theory video, and I don't want it to confuse anybody, and that's the topic of chord symbols. If you're learning an instrument or just starting to learn an instrument, at some point in your journey to learn music, you'll probably see these. These are chord symbols, and they can be confusing sometimes because they're trying to pack as much information as possible into the least amount of space. So, what is a chord symbol? At its heart, a chord symbol is trying to tell you what chord you should be playing in the music at a particular time. Now, there are other uses for chord symbols, specifically when you're soloing over a piece of music, but we won't get into that today. For now, we'll just concentrate on chord symbols are trying to tell us what chords to play in music at a particular time. There are two main styles of chord symbols. One uses letters and the other uses Roman numerals. Let's take a look at the letters first. For a major chord, you will see an uppercase letter, like this. This would be a G major chord. For a minor chord, you'll see either one of two things. In classical music, you will see people use a lowercase letter for a minor chord, like this. This would be a G minor chord. But the version that you'll probably see in sheet music is an uppercase letter with a lowercase m or min after it, like this. This is also a G minor chord. Since this second version is more popular, we'll be using it for the rest of the video. Just know that if you happen to see a lowercase letter in a chord chart, it probably means a minor chord. So we've covered major and minor, but those aren't all the different types of chords we can play. And since there are way more chords than we could cover in a single video, I just want to go over some more common chords. So there's major and minor, and we can also look at diminished, augmented, and probably dominant seventh would be the other more common types of chords. Let's take a look at diminished. For the diminished chord, you'll see an uppercase letter, but it will either have a dim after it or a small circle. Both of these mean diminished. For augmented, you will see an uppercase letter, then AUG, or a plus sign after it. Both of these mean augmented. For the dominant seventh chord, you will see the uppercase letter, then a number 7 after it. So those are the 5 most common types of chords you'll see in the style that uses letters. Again, this is by no means all the different types of chords we can play, just the most common types. And if you get familiar with these types, then you'll be able to learn the other types of chord symbols a little bit easier. Okay, now for the Roman numeral system. The Roman numeral system is more common in classical music theory. So even though the letter system is more popular in sheet music and tablature, if you're taking a music theory class in high school or university, odds are you're going to be using this Roman numeral system. So in the Roman numeral system, major chords are represented by an uppercase Roman numeral, and minor chords are represented by a lowercase Roman numeral. The question you might be asking yourself right now is, how do I tell what chord is being referenced by the number if there isn't a letter? That's a very good question. The answer goes back to the How to Build Scales video or the Intervals video, where I talk about each of the notes of the scale being a separate scale degree. Now, don't ask me why they call them scale degrees. I don't know. Music theorists are bad at naming things. Scale degree just means the position of that note in the scale. Is it the first note of the scale? Is it the second note of the scale? Is it the third note of the scale? And so on. The first triad of a scale, which is just a chord made of 3 notes, stacked in thirds, is represented by an uppercase Roman numeral 1 if it's major, and a lowercase Roman numeral 1 if it's minor. The second triad of a scale is represented by a Roman numeral 2, uppercase for major and lowercase for minor, and you can probably guess how the rest of this is going to go. So we have Roman numerals from 1 to 7, representing the 7 scale degrees and triads built on those scale degrees. Uppercase for major and lowercase for minor. This example is for G major. And since all major scales have the same intervals between the notes, This pattern of Roman numerals can be applied to any major scale. The 1, 4, and 5 chords are always going to be major. The 2, 3, and 6 chords will always be minor, and the 7 chord will always be diminished. I think this is what makes the Roman numeral system unique from the letter system. You can use it to describe the functions of chords across different keys without having to change the names. So, a really simple example would be the chord progression 1-5-1 in major. In the Roman numeral system, all you'd have to say is 1-5-1 in major. But in the letter system, you would have to use 12 different combinations of letters to describe the same thing in all 12 major keys. So the Roman numeral system is much better at describing functional harmony, or how chords work with each other no matter what key they're in. Let's look at one more example of the Roman numeral system, this time in natural minor. First, we'll fill in the triads. Then we can see that the 1, 4, and 5 chords are minor, the 3, 6, and 7 are major, and the 2 chord is diminished. Just like the major key example, these Roman numerals will be the same for any natural minor scale. Of course, if you have any questions about this video, please let me know in the comments and I'll try to answer them as best I can. Or if you have any tips for reading chord symbols that have helped you out, let us know in the comments. I've also put together a chord reading cheat sheet on my Patreon page, so if you want to check that out, click the Patreon link below. Or if you want to keep learning about music theory, check out this video. Thanks for watching.